Welcome everybody. Today we're going to be taking a look at two ScaleTrains Rivet Counter BNSF 25th Anniversary ES44ACs. These are both equipped with LokSoundv5 DCC and sound from the factory. And before we get too far into the video, do me a favor, hit subscribe if you're new, like the video if you enjoy. Both are completely free, you can always change your mind, and it just really helps support the channel. So thank you in advance, and let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so for unboxing purposes, I'm going to show off 6017 here. We'll take a look at the two different versions after we've unboxed it, but the unboxing experience and the box itself are completely identical. So here's the side of the box here. This is a little bit of an older release, not too old, so it does have the writing across the bottom, that's how you can tell here. And here's just a list of the features on the back of the box here. You wanted to see that, it's pretty standard here, Rivet Counter stuff. And it says the GE ES44AC on the front here. Alright, and if we just rotate this here, and pull the top straight up, and we're presented with the operator's manual here. This is the trifold design. The newer models have been coming with a vertical design here. So just some information on the warranty here. And then inside we have the DCC instructions for different modes. There's a lot of horn options, and here's a quick look at the lights and sounds chart here if you're curious. And then moving back to the model, we have some foam here, and then we're presented with the model. So I slide this out here. We've got the standard blister packaging. You just slide this off here. We have some rotating bearing caps, some extras in this little baggie here. Pop this open. We have some soft plastic here that's stuck to the roof of the box here. And removing it, sometimes those black truck immobilizers will get stuck, so you want to remove that before setting it down, because it may cause the model to tip over. But then we're presented with the model here. Alright, so let's go ahead and remove the handrail protectors here. They are plastic handrails, so it's important to have that foam in here. Give it half a spin. We'll do a quick one in a second here. Slide that one out, and you can push this one out as well. And then we finally got the model free of all the packaging. Let's give you a quick spin. We'll do a deeper look at number 6017 here, and then I'll compare some of the features for differences that 6111 has, because all of the models that ScaleTrains did are accurate to the prototypes, so they do have those road number specific features. So there's a spin. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the features. Alright, so we'll go ahead and begin with the front of the model here. We do have a separately applied door with a window, as well as illuminated number boards, front headlight, and ditch lights on this model. We do have small grab irons above the windows here and around the sand filler hatches on the anti-glare paint as well. We have the ScaleTrains scale metal coupler, as well as painted ends on the MU hoses across the model. We can see the train line hoses there, as well as the uncoupling levers here with the white handles. And if you look on the right side of this glass here, is a little gray protrusion, I guess. That is a model of the grade crossing camera, which is really cool that ScaleTrains included that. We do have a full cab on this model as well. And the only issue on the front that I had is that one of these grab irons coming up the nose here was loose in the box, but I was able to press it back into place with just a pair of pliers. It was very fine. It took a little bit of time, but it wasn't too much of a challenge. And let's go ahead and give you a zoom here on the front of the model. We do have see-through steps here as well, the etched metal. And you can see into that door here. Here's a view. There are tinted windows on the side, so it's a little harder to see. So the best view of the cab is through the front windows here. as well. You can see those fine windshield wipers as well. All right, so moving here to the side of the model, we can see that 25th anniversary paint scheme. We have the BNSF logo located here along the electrical boxes instead of along the long hood, and we see many different railroads that the BNSF has acquired over the years. Along the side here, again, we have the rotating bearing caps on the trucks as well as brake cylinder detail. We do have fuel gauges here along the side as well as a chain here. This is just plastic on the rear here, but it still looks pretty well done. We do have sanding lines as well on the front and rear of all the trucks. And all the printing across the model does look very well done. There's a lot of small text that you won't be able to completely pick up on camera. I'll give you a zoom in a sec, but it's very well done. We do have plastic handrails, as I mentioned. The models that I picked up were pretty good. No warpage on those handrails across the models. Let's go ahead and zoom in here and we can take a look at the side of the model here. Got the ES44AC designation as well. We do have some vents here. You can just about see through the top ones in the back. You can see those are some weights. They kind of look like fans. You can kind of think that they're fans, but they are weights inside the model. We've got the brake wheel there as well. And here's a look at those road names here. And you can see fine detail along the cabinets here or the doors along the side here with door rings and rivet detail, and lots of grates here as well, or vents. So let's go ahead and move on to the rear of the model. So we'll turn it here, and as you can see, we have a low mounted headlight. Some railroads will have them in this higher position here that's sort of blanked out on this model. We do have spare knuckle holders as well as the metal coupler here in the rear as well. We do have the uncoupling levers. And one thing to note, you can see a little bit of paint here missing on this uncoupling lever. This was stuck to the handrail. I think the paint must have been a little wet. So I pried it off and just a little bit of that white paint came off. Not too big of a deal, but that's the only imperfection in paint across the model that I have. We do have black grab irons here by the numbers along the top, and white ones all across the model here as well. And you can see at the bottom here, we do have the train line hoses with silver tipped ends here as well. All right, so moving on to the other long hood side here. We've got good fuel tank detail here. We do have the undermounted bell. I'll take a zoom in a second, but we do have a walkway light here along the side, as well as those logos once again all across the model. So we'll zoom in here and take a look, and you'll be able to see again, you can see through some of those grates in the back. Not as many as on the ET44s that ScaleTrains has done, but still looking good. We do have the mirror here above the 0 in the 6017. And you can see some of those handrail detail, as well as the truck and bell detail on the bottom, and those logos. So let's go ahead and take a look at the roof of the model. All right, so moving on to the roof, we do have the horn here, as well as the exhaust stack, and a full PTC antenna array here. And all of these white patches are warning labels, which look really cool. So if I take a zoom in here, we'll be able to see some of that fine writing on there. And you can see the pleated walkway here behind the cab door with some hatches for the electrical connections there. As we move across, you can see the horn, as well as the radiator detail. They are separately applied metal panels here, and there are fans underneath. And you can just kind of see into the exhaust as well. So there's look down from the front. And let's move on to the underside of the model. So always the scariest part, putting the locomotive on its side. But we don't have a lot going on, but you'll be able to see some of the nice underbody detail. We don't have traction motors too defined. There's just a little hump in the middle for the gears and the wheels. But you can see a ton of underbody piping here that we'll zoom in a second. This model does not have the painted wheels that ScaleTrains has started doing. It's just before that time. But if I zoom in here, we'll be able to take a look at all that detail underneath. And very similar situation here at the front. You got sanding lines. You'll be able to see through just barely on those steps as well. But lots of piping going on down here. So let's go ahead and compare 6017 with 6111. All right, so I wanted to just take a couple moments and compare two of these 25th anniversary units, because every single one that was produced by ScaleTrains is different and prototypically accurate. And since every engine is different, their differences are resembled in the model. So it's really cool that they've done that. So let's go ahead and take a look. Starting at the front here, you can't really see the black windshield wipers on 6017, but we've got orange ones on the right. You can see different PTC antenna arrays here as well, but otherwise the fronts are pretty much the same. And moving on to the side here, very, very similar as well. But if I take you in just a little bit here, we'll be able to take a look at the roof differences. We have two different horns here. 6111 has a cover over these fans in the rear, as well as the exhaust stack. So I'll just zoom in real quick and you can take a look at some of the roof differences. You can see that the warding labels are even in different spots across both models here. So it's really cool to have this variety, especially on the top, which is where you'll be seeing most of the trains from. All right, so let's move on to the rear here. We'll just take a quick look. There's only two differences here. We've got white grab irons versus black on 6017, as well as an orange housing for the rear headlight and a silver one over here on 6017. So not a whole lot going on. These engines are mechanically the same with the DCC and sound functions. So speaking of that, let's go ahead and head over to the track and show you some of those features. All right, so I've gone ahead and placed the locomotive on the track here. We'll take a look at 6017. Again, 6111, same features. Out of the box, this locomotive is programmed to address 03, but I've already gone ahead and changed it to the road number of 6017. So I'll go ahead and press function 8 to start up the locomotive. There is just a little bit of speaker rattle. I'm not sure if it's getting picked up on camera, but it's just barely audible. Pressing F0 turns on the directional headlight. In this case, we're in forwards, so we've got the front headlight. We'll just flip on F6 for the ditch lights as well. F1 is the bell. F2 is the playable horn, so that'll function as long as you hold down the F2 key. And as you heard, that will also activate the bell. F3 is the coupler clank. And pressing it again, you get a different sound. F4 is the dynamic brake, which only functions while we're moving. F5 are the DPU lights, so if I press it right now while it's in forwards, the rear headlight will come on, which we'll take a look at when we take a look at the back of the model. Pressing 5 again will bring those lights back up in the forward direction. F6 are the ditch lights here, which we've already got on. F7 doesn't have a function. F8 is the startup and shutdown, as well as mute while you're moving. F9 is the drive hold, so you can press that, and then you'll be able to ramp up the throttle while keeping the same speed. F10 is the independent brake, so if you press that, it'll keep the locomotive stopped even if you start the model. F11 is the radiator sound. which isn't too audible here over the idle noise. F12 is the dimmer here. That dims the front headlight and turns off the front ditch lights. I bring that back up. F13 is the slow spitter valve. That will not play again if you unselect function 13. Function 14 has no function. F15 is the isolation switch. So that's just a little switch noise there. F16 does not have a function. F17 is the brake set and release. F18 is the sanding valve. Which is a little quiet, but it does sound very neat. F19 is the short air let-off. F20 is the compressor, which you've heard come on and off frequently here while we're idling. That's it releasing there. F21 is the handbrake. That sounds like someone turning the brake wheel. F22 is the cab door, which is also not too audible. F23 are the engine compartment doors. Neat sound to have. F25 is the reverser center, which won't do anything while we're stopped here. F25 are the opening and closing of the shutters. F26 is the manual notching up or run 8 mode, and F27 is notching down or coasting. F28 is the logic for the manual notching. And then the features I don't have access to are F29, which is the load, F30 is the automatic brake, and F31 is the sound fader. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this guy moving. So if I move it up to speed step 3, that's about where we don't have any jerky movement. And we'll knock it up to speed step 10. And up to 25 so you can hear some load. And then take it back down here. So the notching up sound does sound pretty good. Go ahead and flip it into reverse here. You see that rear headlight come on. We do not have rear ditch lights on this model. Go ahead and bring us back on speed step 10 here. You can change the momentum of this model through CVs, and there are also included capacitors, the ESU power pack, so that'll help you over dirty or imperfect electrical connections. We'll hit the dynamic brakes here, which is function 4. So those will come on after a little while. I'll go ahead and turn them off here. And then bring her to a stop. And while I'm still in reverse here, if I press function 5 for the DPU mode, you see that front headlight come on. Even though I'm still in reverse, if I press that again, then that rear headlight will come back on as well. Let's go ahead and press function 8, and you'll hear the shutdown noise. There are some remaining air let-offs there as well, but if I flip back into forwards here, you'll see that the front headlight and ditch lights will stay on even if I press F8. So I have to press F6 for the ditch lights and 0 to turn those off as well. Alright, so I think that just about wraps up the demo portion of this review. Just wanted to leave you with some final thoughts here on these two models. And I did want to mention quickly something that I noticed in the manual here, is that it starts off saying the ScaleTrains SD38-2 locomotive, and it says it over here as well on the front page of the manual, and then it switches over into the ES44. So let me know if you have any of these manuals for these models, if they have that too. Just thought that was interesting and sort of a thing that I didn't expect ScaleTrains to have, because they're usually pretty good about checking those things. But it's not a big deal, just something I'm interested in to see if anyone else has that. But as for the models themselves, the only paint imperfection is on that uncoupling lever that was stuck to the handrail, so just a little bit off there. They are all in gauge here. Give them a quick check. I did purchase these models directly from ScaleTrains. 6111 was on sale at $50 off. It was selling for $250, while 6017 was still full price. So I picked them up a little bit ago. 6017 was $299. So at that price range, that's pretty much typical for a ScaleTrains gevo, as well as the higher end models such as athearn. Intermountain tends to sell for a little bit lower, but no other company has done the 25th anniversary schemes because ScaleTrains has the exclusive rights from BNSF to do so. So if you want one of these schemes, you really don't have another option unless you're going to make them yourself. But as for the models themselves, a very good gevo here. They look great. Love the differences between the two units, because even though they have the same paint scheme, the features are different enough that it feels like two separate units. So I'm very happy with this purchase of these units. If you are considering purchasing multiple of these, I would do your research on the ScaleTrains website. They do list all the features, and I believe they still have all the different pictures of the models, so you'll be able to see some of those differences, like the horns here or the covered radiator hatches there. That helped me pick 6017 as the second model, the 6111, because I was going to pick up 6111 because it was on sale, and I wanted the second one. So I wanted one that was different enough that it felt worth it to have the same paint scheme again. But I think with that, that'll wrap up our review here today. Do me a favor, subscribe if you made it this far and you're new. Like the video, help me out with the algorithm so that one day I might be able to make $1 or $2 off this channel. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.